Good evening, everybody. How are you? How are you? How are you? Tonight, we are doing somewhat of a co-production with PWI, and uh, since we haven't had Samuel on in a little bit, tonight he's going to be talking about spiritual hunters and what they are, what they do, and a lot of stuff like that. So bring on Sam.
Well, thank you, everyone. Well, I want to start off. This is some stuff that I've talked about in the past and everything like that, and some amount of anonymity that goes with it, and this and that. But for the most part, I hope you guys love it. If you like it or whatever, please just let me know, and I guess we can ask questions later. All right, let's start off. A supernatural hunter is called a breaker or simply a hunter. The hunters are normally humans that track down and slay supernatural beings that have ill intent towards others in most any sort of form. They normally do this to protect other humans and humanity from vicious beings that have a primal urge to harm anything in their path. There there have been television shows and movies based on remotely around these individuals. There are rumors of people that do this in major cities around the world. What is known is that the transfer of this kind of information is done by word of mouth. So it's going to be very rare that somebody finds anything recorded, so like writing or this or that. Okay, and there are three groups of hunters that can fit into, and one sort of outside of the group. These groups that are being mentioned are the most prevalent in North America. The first one is what I call the foot soldiers. Many of them on what you could say when they go on a hunt, they call it doing the Lord's work. That you could say that the foundation of the term they consist of strength in numbers. Oftentimes, they're normally associated with being blue collar workers. They are people that have a certain amount of knowledge that goes along with being a hunter. These hunters are beings that have an intimate knowledge of firearms. Oftentimes, they're normally a good shot, if not an excellent shot, with them, and can oftentimes be seen in a firing range, basically for practice. They are not afraid to use a pistol or even a rifle or even explosives. The style of fighting that they have, at least in North America, is brawling primarily, but it is not totally exclusive to that. They also have a huge amount of knowledge when it comes to particular ecosystems, such as deserts, forests, swamps, and even city environments. The next tier of hunters is that I guess you could say the assassins or the specialists. They have a white collar job, sort of like that of management of certain companies that are very large and oftentimes huge. They normally do what they have to do. They normally do not have a ton of tattoos, visible marks that can be seen in a general sort of way. There are oftentimes people that have a face that blends in with most any crowd. They do everything they can to be seen as low key as possible. They have been known to have families and sometimes other family members, maybe even hunters too. They normally do what they can to not stand out amongst any kind of crowd, and they watch the way they speak, and their mannerisms are considered rather vanilla, which means kind of rudimentary, boring, regular, whatever you want to call it. At times, they do work out for not just being physically fit, but oftentimes they work out to prevent certain forms of injury, which muscle mass has been often known to prevent these kinds of injuries. Those that are Assassin's Creed that are of the hunt prefer quiet weapons. Such a, some of such as some kind of a blade, whether it is a knife or even considered sometimes a small sword. They often cover up parts of their body, such as their face, whenever they are in the midst of battle, with covering their hands to not leave fingerprints. They, they have been known to be sent in when foot soldiers have been taken out or on the run when a mission fails. And a general idea with the training they have had and the way they do things, they are sent to take care of their target to be in and out of most any place with little or no one seeing them. There are various types of specialized hunters. Many of them do some amount of sorcery. Many of these sorcerer humans hunters can be called in on magic users or beings for offense and defensive attacks that can do sorcery or most any kind of magic. They also hide their talents until they are called upon. With a hunter that can do sorcery, they are almost always called on with a team to give support. Another group of specialist hunters, those are of medical training. They are almost always in with the team. Medical hunters that have certain amounts of knowledge of that sort of supernatural wisdom. They're this sort of able to treat individuals on what they are, humans and even non-humans of a sort of supernatural nature. Another thing medical hunters are called on is the issue of torture. The reason they do this is to extract information for certain missions that are on or even to be vindictive. Another type of hunters is the vampire hunter. They have certain ways and certain types of training that can be crucial for finishing a mission. With vampires, they have a certain amount of drawbacks along with the strengths, but oftentimes they're trying to exploit those drawbacks to get the advantage. One of the types of things that vampires have against them is something called OCD, and I think I'll be touching up on that later. With vampires, they have the okay. Werewolf hunters or wolf hunters are normally very, if not extremely fit. They treat lichens as evolved, highly intelligent animals. They are trained to anticipate certain attacks instead of attacking on sight. The reason they do this is oftentimes that lichens can be very quick and hard sometimes to avoid attacks. The knowledge of and training is very specific on this issue of what they're hunting. Another type of hunter is a spectral hunter. They are not trained. They are not trained so much in the way of different types of martial arts, but the training of their minds and their will. Shamans can be considered spectral hunters in the way of their special knowledge and knowledge nature of spirits and even certain types of fae. Faes can be considered very generalized type entities. Um, Spectral hunters are used on attacks towards spirits, ghosts, wraiths, and other things that go bump in the night. With hunters, they are people that with witch hunters, they are people that hunt witches that go out of their way to be a person of harm or endangerment, or even various assortments of people. Black witches are known for dark witches are known for casting curses and hexes for many particular reasons, such as both good and bad. The witch hunter has an idea of countering and other things along with physical damage that is taking out the witch of the type of witch that is of the darkness. Uh, Demonologists are those people who hunt demons in the way of their knowledge from years and maybe even decades of study of other types of dark beings. Their knowledge can be critical to taking down a target and for the hunters of both foot soldiers and assassins. Along with that, the knowledge that has the potential for most of them, most of, not all of them, to come back alive, whether it is a group or a single individual. There are other types of hunters, but with these beings, it is said that it is giving people the concept of various sorts of hunters. With all this, every form of hunter, or even breakers, whatever you want to call them, that is that is on the field are will purposely poison themselves with something. It starts with a small dose and gets larger and larger. The reason for this is because it is designed to take anything that feeds off energy, blood, or anything else out in case the hunter's life is approaching. I guess you can approaching the nil of it. In other words, if they're close to death, and so like a lichen was to bite them or take off a body part, that lichen will die along with the hunter or the breaker, whatever you want to call them. Oftentimes, hunters are called upon. What to do this is what they sort of call. Let me read that again. Oftentimes, hunters are called up that do this sort of work are those that are hired by faith-based groups. In North America, most of these individuals that are hired are some kind of Christian-based institutions. They are there are those spectral types of non-spectral types, the type of people that they are those spectral type and non-spectral types of people that they notice as a threat. Not always, but many of these people that are hired can be considered extreme zealous and have a bad case of Stockholm syndrome. Those organizations have been known to give out orders that are that are to approach a person or entity, or to even kill that individual. Those organizations that do this to what they call keep the peace. They do this to further their own agenda. Many of them members of that religious organization are oftentimes corrupt and do what they can to manipulate the rest of it. At least in North America, it's not always Christian organizations that give out those orders, but they are the majority. Those organizations, you could say, they flip the bill for the hunt. The hunt can be somewhat costly. The cost can be considered of gas for automobiles of some kind, bullets, arrows, projectiles, food, lodging, and even a reward for the group or individuals that get the target that become the target of the hunt. With all this, not always, but the rich and the powerful and the elite can put a bounty upon something's head. They are sometimes lobbying religious organizations when they have an agenda against someone or something. Those of the higher status in life do this at times out of sheer boredom. In certain ways, in the way of supernatural hunting, they're at the top of the list. Hunters, breakers are also people that are very good at surviving certain environments. Oftentimes, they are considered preppers and also called survivalists. They are at times seen with a bag of supplies, whether on this person or in a vehicle. They can also they also keep themselves hidden rather well with certain brush types, and know the lay of most of what type of the land. Basically, they know the layout of the land. These supplies often include food, water, medical kits, stuff to make a fire, and other various sorts of things. In other words, a bug out bag, if you want to call it that. When it comes to making fires, sometimes they will get a dry piece of lint because of how flammable it is. They have been known to also carry crayons because the flame that is set to them can last for hours. Water is always needed from drinking and even flushing out a wound. Medical kits are oftentimes used for such things like bug stings and even bandages with antibiotics ointments. When it comes to food, that can be a bit tricky. Calories when it comes to food can be rather substantial. The human body needs between 14 and 2,200 calories per day. But with that, if you are going after a target, you need to have the food last for a while. That is why they use camping type food. That all you need is hot water to serve it with, or even you can eat it in raw. On a different note, sometimes there is no way to heat the water up to make the food. Those hunters can also carry MREs. The acronym means meals ready to eat. They can last a lot longer than most regular food, but then you have the problem of trash. Trash can give your position away quickly if someone knows what to look for and what they are looking to track. Those supplies vary on what they feel is needed. Other environments can include rural types of environment settings that such as farmland or even places that are abandoned like ghost towns. Like as mentioned before, some of the equipment, besides those of the standards such as food and water, they can carry other things. Most hunters will bring such things as compass, and then the sun goes down. It is hard to know which way is north when there is no sun. Another thing they will take are light sources. Light sources can be like a glow stick. Glow sticks are not super powerful on the issue of light, but they can last a lot longer. Uh, a lot longer than many different light sources that can give a path in case multiple tryings to find out something big. As obvious, that item most of any type of hunter will carry is a knife. A knife can be easy to hide. They can sometimes be used to cut something such as a rope and cut a branch from a tree or even some type of vegetation that they can potentially be needed. Knives are also used for the obvious, a weapon. Knives are also used when it comes to certain ceremonies that come to some kind of sacrifice, even if it is upon oneself. Another item that is not mentioned a lot is the water bottle that filters water in them. When when being in the field, sometimes there could be a lack of hydration or the water can be used. When that is the case, if you are seeing some kind of body of water, you cannot count on that water. You cannot count on that body of water to be suitable for drinking. When a filtered water bottle can be used, a filtered water bottle can be used from to drink from that the body may need in a safer way. Uh, Keep in mind, fill water in a safer way. Keep in mind, the filter is not guaranteed to filter out all the contaminants, but it makes it safer to drink. Along with the filter part of it, the body can take that water on the go for such a longer amount of a stretch. Oftentimes hunters are known to carry religious and metaphysical items. Belief is an extremely powerful item within oneself. From a cross to a Jewish star or even a crescent moon, beliefs can be someone's mentality and give a certain amount of calm in their mental state. Mental state. Uh, Items along with that can be included, such as a pentacle or even an ankh, which people call an Egyptian cross. Items that are known as potions are normally an assortment of various things that can be in the form of liquid or even powder. These are there are entities of a supernatural factor that absolutely haters of such kinds, such as black salt, and even things such as sage or sandalwood, and sometimes even certain amounts of smells like nag champa and dragon's blood. Nag Champa, as most of us know, is one of the best types of incense that most people want. Other items in the metaphysical sense can be carried, such as offerings. Certain spectral certain spectral entities remember their old lives as that of the living. Many of them have love. Many of them have cravings for things such as tobacco and sometimes an alcoholic drink. Many children like many childlike entities love cookies or even toys such as balls so that they can roll them around. When giving a hunter a lead on a target they're going after, those offerings are done with respect to all the to respect at all times. Different items can be brought are never newer technology types. Those items can be such as meters and even things like spirit boxes. When dealing and requesting from an entity, it is good to be able to listen to them in the best possible way. And doing all this, you can have an advantage, especially on a hunt. So, so here's the thing: hunters, some of us know. So hunters, some of us know about, some of us don't, and everything. We all go through life and everything, dealing with things that go bump in the night. Vampires, I would say they're, which most hunters will exploit quicker than anything, if they are hunting vampires, is OCD, which means obsessive compulsive disorder. In other words, some of them will, according to legend, you could say they will take a bag of peanuts and toss it on the ground, and they toss the bag somewhere else. That will make the vampire mad, but the thing is, that OCD that the vampire has will pick up those bag of nuts oftentimes, whether they take a group of them or they put it in one at a time. And oftentimes those vampires will, I guess you could say, pick up the nuts one at a time and count them. That to me is the biggest weakness that a vampire has. Along with the issue of witches, there are, as a lot of you are, we know about dark and light eight sort of witches. We also know about green witches, hedge witches, kitchen witches, or whatever you want to call it. Now, the thing is with them, they vary person to person. Um, some people have that calling and can become a witch and this and that, which in certain ways it gives them some amount of inner peace of knowing all of that. And with all that, many people that are gifted, I guess you could say also cursed, um, have certain abilities that a lot of people can do and a lot of people can't do. You take like a medium. You can take like a medium, and which some people can argue a witch or not a witch and everything, but they can hear and sense the dead and everything, and they can do that. Now, what I'm getting at with these people that are able to do this and spot witches and this and that, many of them you can consider to be hunters of some kind. It can be hunters like people that hunt witches, but there's a determination that people have to take into consideration. Am I doing more harm than good? And hunters have to ask themselves that if I pursue hurting this witch, it could be a bad thing, because what if that witch is a witch of light and heals wounds and this and that? So the thing is, when you're hunting, you have to know the difference whether you want to or not. You also got Lichen Hunters. Lichen Hunters are those that, I guess you could say, well, they hunt werewolves, and not just werewolves, but other types of human slash animal type hybrids, whatever you want to call them. Now, normally lichens of some kind are very fast, very strong, very powerful, but they can look, according to legend, they can assume the form of an animal. Not necessarily. The reason why I say that is because whenever it comes to lichens, they can have a human-like form. And the reason why they keep that form is to blend in with the crowd. And hunters, to some extent, over history, they don't want to harm innocent people whatsoever. So they have to pick and they have to choose. Oftentimes, those hunters that are were hunters or lichen hunters will learn to train their nose into smelling what their target. So that's how it goes on that. Now, in the beginning of this, I was talking about blue-collared hunters. Blue-collar hunters are oftentimes very tattooed here and there and everything. They are very hardworking, dedicated people that are about family and this and that and doing what they feel is the right thing, oftentimes in regards to their faith, whether it's Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. With them, those hunters, those spectral, not spectral, but foot soldiers, oftentimes many of them like to be called breakers because they're the first line of defense or offense, if you think about it that way. And like I said, they're oftentimes tattooed. You can find them at a firing range. You can find them at a firing type range to to practice their shooting. Many of them are very good at with explosives. Many of them added on to it are also ex-military. And those people that are ex-military, they know how to handle themselves. They had special training, very special training, and they know how to deal with it. You take like people like Navy SEALs. You can sit there and take like Navy type SEALs who know how to fight in certain environments, such as water to land type environments. Like I said, Marines also. Marines are considered amphibious, and whenever it comes to say like with a breaker, whenever they get to a beach and everything, you take like a Marine or a Navy SEAL, that's what they're specialized in, is getting in there, taking out the target, and going on and getting the hell out of there. And like I said, military people, ex-military like people, they're damn good at what they do whenever they're breakers. They're very good at it. And what else is there? But along that lines, added on to it, breakers, they're tattooed. I mean, certain parts of their body, they're very tattooed. They can oftentimes be seen having some of them, like the newer culture of today, will have a lot of tattoos even on their face, or implants like to look like wounds of some kind and everything. And like I was saying, I did mention this. Another type were spectral type hunters. Spectral type hunters, oftentimes you need a sorcerer of some kind, or somebody can do some amount of sorcery. People that know alchemists. Alchemists can oftentimes come up with something off the top of their head that a conventional person might not know and guard their place. So basically, you go into their place, and oftentimes you go into somebody's place, you feel fine, you feel safe, and this and that. And they walk through, they spend some time, they still feel safe. And if it's an alchemist place, they go in there, and not too much they feel is going to hurt them. But we can go on to different sort of things. But then like if there's a spirit that has ill intent, and they try and go through that seal, they're going to hurt, and they're going to hurt bad. Will it kill that spectral type entity? Probably not, but the pain is going to happen for that entity. What else? You also got people that are healers, whether they're magic healers or conventional type healing, like a doctor or a paramedic. Whenever it comes to groups, 9 times out of 10, for a group to hunt their target, they will bring a medical or energy healer. The reason why is because you want to save as many people as you can or all of them if you can. But if you do hunting long enough, someone's going to get hurt, or even you may get hurt. Now, if you can prevent that, if you can do what it takes to make sure that that person is not hurt, That's why you bring either a medical healer or an energy healer of some kind. And oftentimes those are called light workers. Um, then you've also got with the well, I was mentioning this before. Whenever it comes to a lot of type of hunters, oftentimes, especially the specialists, they will poison themselves. Like it will look like they're taking insulin, but it can be of a very potent status and everything, or a compound or whatever. And the reason why they do that, because if they're damn near close to death, they're taking somebody out right with them, and and not only is that entity, whether it's a lichen or even a vampire, they're taking them out too. Uh, Now, I didn't touch upon this too much, but oftentimes, whenever it comes to these religious organizations, they're the ones who normally issue the orders, and also they issue the funds out to take out the target that they're supposed to be sort of, I guess, dangerous. Now, that target, you've got to have gas in order to get a vehicle to get there. You have to have, most people, at least the ones I've ever met in my life, they prefer armor, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then they need bullets, swords, blades, and other things. And also you have to pay their salary, not salary, but their commission or salary, whatever you want to call it, of that person. But that's how it goes. So basically, like I said, if they give an order, the religious organization gives an order, then that order is to take out a certain target. They have to put up the bill, number one. And like I said, they have to give the order, number two. This one I barely even talked about. Now, you've got people that lobby these organizations. Oftentimes, these religious organizations can become corrupt in the way that if they give an order, a rich person who has an agenda against something, they have an agenda that is against something, they will, how can I put this? They will do what they can to lobby the person that's in charge of it. So if you have a group vote, that rich person, elite person, whatever you want to call them, can lobby the person through, I guess you can say, a gift of money, and get enough of them, then they'll issue out the order. They'll issue out the order on that. What else would there be? Uh, but that's how it goes. But I'm just wondering, I'll put this on a pause, but does anybody else have any kind of questions for me? I'm looking at one of the things. Can you see any questions for me, Chad?
At the moment, there are no questions. Just that a lot of people uh, are kind of basically saying hi to you and hi to me, and
Thank you.
no particular questions at the moment.
Okay, then I will definitely go on. Another thing also, a lot of people these days are practicing sigils. Sigils can be very complex or very simple. Sigils can oftentimes be worn as an amulet for protection or defense for that hunter. And some of the time it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like if it's a straight up physical attack, and somebody's wearing that sigil such as that on a necklace, not always, but that can work as armor, a spiritual armor for that hunter. But like I said, with that hunter, they'll do anything and everything they can to get the other advantage. And every single one of them will do what it takes to come home alive and kicking. And like I said, especially with the foot soldiers who are very good at what they do, with the foot soldiers, they oftentimes are old-fashioned brawlers or some type of martial art. They will carry a nasty knife of some kind. If you ever see a Rambo knife where it's got the brass knuckles and the blade, they'll carry that if they can. Many of them carry pistol or even a rifle because if you can get the shot in, why not? I'm trying to think of others. But the history along hunters is very long. Now, I don't know about Asian type hunters. I really don't. I am absolutely clueless. But hunting has been around. Hunters, breakers, have been around for a very long time, probably more than most people. Now, the thing is with hunters, oftentimes they would say, like in medieval Europe, a bad entity that has come in and everything and attacks people at night. I guess you could call them a mercenary. They'd get hired to take out that entity, half the payment up front after completing the job. Not always, but they will take out the entity, person, lichen, vamp, whatever you want to call them. They'll take them out in that sort of way. Then you pay the person for that sort of protection. Now, like I said, it's not necessarily that's heroic, but it gets the job done and saves the village and everything. What else is there? Also, at least in theory, of Egyptian sort of things, Egypt, ancient Egypt, had a lot of necromancy that was used in the art of hunting, because what they would do is, like I said, they get any kind of advantage that they could, and they take out their target in that sort of way. In other words, say like if you got an ancient Egyptian type person has a body organ, so like against a lichen of some kind, they'll throw it on the ground, or they'll keep it close to their person. And like I said, you take a lichen in that sort of way, they will smell that and they will be repulsed dramatically and they will go somewhere else. And if you had a bow with some arrows, you have a potential advantage of shooting the creature or the entity in the back, especially a lichen, if you're a good enough shot, taking the advantage of that. And hunters are very good at that. Many of the weaponry of the specialist assassins, like I said, specialists, they prefer quiet weapons. Quiet weapons like a knife, a sword, a bow, a crossbow. They do this. Now, a lot of them will take a firearm, but firearms are very loud. And whenever you use a firearm, it can give away your position. Yes, you may get the kill and everything, but you can get his or her buddies in on you, giving away, and then you're dead. In that sort of way. Now, and that's part of hunting. Now, preppers, they're not always hunters, but they have the supplies that a hunter can need in that sort of way. Like jokingly, Chad will get this, they'll have a machete ready for the forest. Most people won't get that, but some of us will. But they will have supplies ready for that hunter in so many ways, and they will take care of the business. And preppers will sell some certain things because, well, like I said, many of them don't have those resources. And the hunters may not have those resources. So the religious organizations will oftentimes provide it, but the person who is a hunter, not a hunter, but is a prepper, not always, but will have stuff that's common, if not better than what a religious organization has. Now, if you want huge amount of funds, if you have huge amount of funds, then you're going to go to then you're going to do what's best for you and what your thoughts and everything. But like I said, that's how it goes. So how is Brandon in? I'm right now I'm still in StreamYard, but like I said, Mike's fishing. Got to run. Okay. Uh, and Anna Marie, what would your thoughts and opinions be? What would your guys' thoughts and opinions be if, say, like a group of hunters went into a suburban type neighborhood? What would you do? Would you hire them or not? Or would you count on them being heroic? Probably not necessarily always heroic. The reason why I say that is because they have to make a living, and if they're taking time off of work, they need that living. They need to make that living in that sort of way, so that way they can have certain advantages of this, and this. So, say like if there is a hunt and their kid needs some kind of medical type treatment, they don't give a damn. They will ask for the price, and if you don't pay the price, you can hire somebody else. But the thing is, like I said, a father or a mother don't give a damn. They will hire what they can to save the person. Not necessarily. They will fund the person. Uh, what else is there? Now, in North America, the primary religious organizations are that fund hunters are normally that of a Christian background. But if you go further than that, the main groups of hunters are hired by the Abrahamic faith, the three main Abrahamic-based faiths, which is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And it is a tricky subject, but for the most part, those organizations feel that they are doing the right thing. They feel like they are doing the right thing, if not the necessary thing, to prolong people's lives and the innocent lives and things like that. Now, there is the time where, and I will say this much, whenever it comes to, uh, then there's those that make a mistake, and that can be costly. So, like if a hunter was to kill somebody that was not the right person, they can end badly and stay bad in that sort of way. Uh, people people die all the time in that sort of way, but they do what they can to slow that down. Now you have the other side. Now, like I said, on a different side, you have the modern technology, which is very helpful. Uh, so, like with ghost hunting or investigations, whatever you want to call it, many of them have certain meters that can pick up on temperature. They can cameras that can spot somebody or keep things rolling in case they're having trouble finding it. And then they have spectral boxes or spirit boxes. Then they have spirit boxes or spectral boxes that can see if the person or the entity is still there and communicate. So, like if they're a deceased person, they can communicate with the living. And then there are many people that use spirit boxes. You could say they want answers that they can't get from the living. And many of them that are deceased, oftentimes they want revenge on the person that did that to them or families. But like I said, but I guess, and I'm all over the place, and I'm sorry, I'm having trouble sticking in one subject. But this subject of hunters, breakers, whatever you want to call it, it's very interesting. Thank you, Thakin. I like that. I like that sort of question. There are fake hunters. There very much are. Oftentimes, people that are fake hunters, well, you could say that they're very, if not extremely, handsome or pretty, whatever you want to call them. And they're very handsome or pretty, and they do it for the show. Not necessarily a television show, but they do it for the looks and everything. Some of those fake hunters are in it for the notoriety. They want to get famous and this and that. And back in my generation, they called them posers. And those posers will do what they can to get the spotlight on them. Many of those hunters added on to it. So many of those hunters that are fake hunters, they don't give a damn about anybody but themselves. And that's how people get killed. So one of the ways you can spot a fake hunter is oftentimes where they they will brag a little too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking pride in what you do, but sometimes they go over and beyond all that. They'll, if anybody remembers, God, which one was it? Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I can never remember his name. Uh, but he was a professor there, a teacher of the dark arts. In the book, he was a very handsome, good-looking guy, but he had a knack. He was a screw up whenever it came to. He was a complete screw up whenever it came to sorcery, but he had a huge knack for memory spells. So he would take their memories and all that other stuff, and that's what I call a poser. Somebody who pretends like that they are the shit, if you want to call it that, and then they do what they can to make themselves look good, but they can't back it up. In other words, they're all talk and they can't back it up. Um, and that's a good question. Uh, Chad to me is somebody who I highly respect. And Chad is somebody who I highly respect. Chad is somebody who comes across as brilliant. If you want to know gadgetry, you want to know electronics and things like that, Chad's your guy. If you want to know something on what you need, what you might need electronic wise, he knows his stuff inside and out, and that's how it goes. Um, but like I said, whenever it comes to foot soldiers, they could be covered head to toe in tattoos, implants on their skin, this and that. Uh, there are those people who have certain abilities. They can be brought upon for they can be brought into it for the help. I guess you can say, well, I can never remember. I am so sorry. I met you the other not too long ago in the mall, but Brandon's had a medium working with him, and she sounded amazing. That's how it went. She could be brought in as a specialist in that sort of way. But like I said, on the issue of the specialists, if you see a huge group of specialists, get the hell out. And yes, Elizabeth, she amazing. I bow down to her. She just came across as nothing more than amazing from what I saw. I saw a bit here, I saw a bit here, there, but she was over the top amazing. But she could be brought in on that. What else is there? People, but you also have to take into consideration this is something that isn't most people don't really want to think about, but the term anti-hero. An anti-hero does what they want, when they want, how they want it. They don't have any anti-hero doesn't have any real super amount of loyalty to just one person. Uh, the anti-hero doesn't have loyalty to most people. They do what they feel is necessary and everything, and for oftentimes selfish purposes. And they do it for selfish purposes in the way of doing what they want, when they want, how they want it. And oftentimes with the anti-hero, they already might already be hunters, and they go out there and they do it not necessarily because it's the right thing to do. They do it for the money, or they might have some kind of underlying reason for other things like that. Uh, and thank you for that, Lockhart, and the Harry Potter books. But for the most part, that's how I see it. That's some of the stuff I know about it. Some people copy what they know and everything. Some people don't. But now I didn't cover this actually. I should have. I should have gone more into it. But offerings. Offerings, if somebody is and can read the dead or hear the dead or even communicate with the dead, oftentimes those people will have certain offerings. Like I said, they will have something to play with the little kids. An adult will want a cigarette. Adult will want a cigarette. A spirit that was older in nature while they were alive, they might want a stone or something from their background, and that's how it goes. But that's what I've learned to cover whenever it comes to, like I said, that's what I cover whenever it comes to hunters. So, what do you guys think of all this?
I thought it was very entertaining, and you said it so well.
Thank you. I'm getting better at reading out loud, but I'm still not there yet. But
Sam, you're doing a fine job, dude.
thank you. But like I said, whether you believe it or not, these people are real. They are people that most of them are good natured. They believe in doing the right thing. We can question things about them. But at the end of the day, oftentimes they're the first and last line of defense, and so we have to do that.
So, and yes, I did get the reference of the machete, and I still haven't gotten it yet.
Well, don't forget, don't ever use those light sticks. I mean, especially in the woods, don't ever use them.
No. In a dark forest, you never use glow sticks.
Oh God, no! You never do that. Never.
Babe, I know you're listening, and machetes and glow sticks.
Well, like I said, I'm a huge believer in glow sticks. On the issue of equipment, is anybody out there want to ask what they think might be the best or not? I might be able to answer many of the questions, especially on equipment. I would love to hear it.
Well, when I put in the question, what do you classify me as? And I mean,
I would consider you. Somebody who is knowledgeable. You have a ton of experience whenever it comes to electronics.
I got that, but do you classify me as a hunter? I mean,
I could. I really could. I could classify you as that. Do you have well, you would be a breaker, and that's the foot soldiers. The foot soldiers, whether we want to believe it or not, they're the first line of defense. Hell yeah, I love that. I saw that. I forgot completely about it. Yeah, you could be a breaker. You could definitely be a breaker.
I know everybody. I know everyone who wanted to see my sexy leg.
Oh God, tell me about it. Yeah, you're just a whole lot of man, Chad.
Just as long as I don't start twerking.
Oh God, yeah, tell me about it. But like I said, you have to remember whenever it comes to firearms, whenever it comes to loud weapons, you have to remember something. They can be necessary. They can be very necessary, if not extremely necessary, to survive. You and your team, most people don't really think of firearms, but if you got to take out some people, that's the way to go. You take like zombie TV shows and zombie movies. Give me a freaking gun any day of the week. And the reason why you give me a gun is because shooting them in the head, that's it. There you go. Now, keep in mind, zombies do exist, but in a different sort of fashion. In the way, oftentimes they're considered poisoned or this or that, but they can be considered. If you take a look at some of these nature shows, where spores from mushrooms and parasites get into the bloodstream of an insect or even a small animal, it infects them and takes over the body while the insect or the animal is dead. and takes it over. And so, in many ways, we have to. Oftentimes, specialists are called in on that sort of issue. Are called in on that sort of issue. Uh, is it always? Are they going to deny it? Yeah, every form of government will deny it, no matter what it is. But the thing is, what you don't know won't hurt you. At least that's their thought process. And the way of breakers and the foot soldiers, whatever you want to call them, you have to remember they are the show of force, strength in numbers, and things like that. Um, if all hell breaks loose, give me a freaking army any day of the week over a few individuals. And that's how I see it.
I think it says, I carry a machete and would use glow sticks as a nice gift for the dead.
I get that completely.
And and a question from the peanut gallery. What about me?
I could consider you easily. You remember the term petty officer?
Well, I'm talking.
Yeah, that's
that, the peanut gallery is Linda.
Oh, okay. Well, with Linda, she would be
Not here.
considered. Yeah, but she would still be considered a specialist and everything. Most specialists keep this in mind. They don't. They don't have They might have a few tattoos, but they don't make it visible. Because if you make it visible, it could bring a certain threat to somebody. So if you got, say like if you're part of a company and a bunch of people have a tattoo of that company, say like if they make bows and arrows, a bow or a compound bow or whatever, and they belong to that company, and it's a front, and they have those tattoos, that's a huge threat. But the thing is, whenever it comes to specialists are a very tricky issue depending on the person. If they do have tattoos, it doesn't mean they can't be a specialist. But it's oftentimes immediate knowledge, and also, I guess, like I said, gifts/curses in the way that if you can communicate with things, if you can do certain things, you have an advantage in the way that you can come home back alive. So, like with Linda, she can communicate with the dead, and with her, sometimes a hunt is needed for that. Because let's be honest here, not every live person is going to talk, but if they have an ego, if somebody has an ego, but so like Linda comes in and she gets information from something that's dead that helps the hunt. Yeah, she's definitely a specialist. Like with you, Chad, you could be considered a specialist. You could, because your knowledge of electronics, the grids that you have, electronics, and also the specializing abilities that you do. Yeah, you could be considered that. But like I said, most specialists, they do have scars. Most of them do, but very small amounts.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you. Like I said, I could be considered a specialist. I could. The reason why I do practice alchemy. Remember Bella smelling that potion? She's never smelled anything like that, according to what she said. I could be. Do I choose to be? No. But could I be considered that? Yes.
You know. Mm-hmm.
So, say like somebody's got telekinesis, they could be introduced as a specialist. But
Yeah.
someone like Chad's a tough guy, really is. He's got military training. He's got one hell of a brain. He knows how, and he also knows how to use his fists and his feet in the way of fighting. You can. I mean, I trust me. If you punch me, I'm gonna know it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna know it, and I'm gonna know it quick. And
first time viewer in the chat. Hold on, we got Byler Man.
Welcome.
First time viewer in the chat. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Well, like I said, people that have abilities can be considered specialists. But the main ones that you want to send in first are the foot soldiers. The
Mhm.
foot soldiers are those that are the show of force, number one. Number two, they can handle themselves in a regular fighting type way. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes it's got to be hand to hand, foot to foot. What else? You also their knowledge of weapons and how they defend themselves and how they defend others. Uh, and to a certain degree, they also, I didn't really touch upon this, but no, I think I should have, where if you ever heard of petty officers or warrant officers in the military, they're the in between ranks. More officers and more enlisted listen to those people more than anybody else of whatever branch there is, and they're in between the ranks. And you two easily could be of the in between ranks easily if it happened. But there's a lot of them hunters that get certain kinds of training, and you have to. But some of them need it, some of them don't. But you have to assess the skills that they have of what they can and can't do. So, how are you doing, Christina?
Well, I
Hi,
was
buddy.
talking, but he had me muted, so I'm back.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah, exactly what I was doing. Hey, Christina, I hope you're doing well, sweet. I know you guys have been missing us on YouTube. We have not went anywhere. I will let you know this now. We are still here. If you guys do not have, and I know some of you get tired of me saying this and repeating, I sound like a broken record. I do apologize, but this is for now that we're on the YouTubers side and everything else. We are also with Twitch. What are you doing? Go back.
Just talk.
I can't. I just can't do that when you do that. I just can't. It annoys me. We are over on Twitch. If you guys have not seen it already, you guys go follow us over there. If you guys have not seen it, all you have to do is download Twitch, create your account. It's simple, it's easy, and free. There will be exclusives that will be put on there, like we did Tuesday. If you guys do not have the Twitch, you guys missed an awesome investigation that we did with Samuel. I think it was the 18th of March. It was very, very much fun. Tuesday and Thursdays are supposed to be exclusive, but because this is a company stream, we did it on all three platforms. So we are good on that aspect of things. But yes, some of our days will be exclusive. So if you guys do not have us, I suggest you to go find us over on Twitch, because eventually we're not leaving Facebook 100%, but we may leave it on a video, fade away type thing. We'll keep it for the advertisement, keep in touch with family and friends. But as far as videos, we may just leave that all together. So
It's a lot harder when we started, we thought, okay, it'll be cool. Our numbers will go up. It's not that. And on YouTube, it barely, but on Twitch, I mean, even just because it's a larger community on Twitch, and especially the paranormal community, which is why every once in a while you'll see us type in and expect, like we did for our thing, it was Unity. I mean, the paranormal community within on Twitch has grown a lot, and I mean, like right now, when we get ready to get off of here, we're gonna go raid Brandon. Raiding, basically, it's not like a rush in and take their loot and run.
Like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure.
What?
like a Dungeons and Dragons event of raiding.
Exactly. We're not doing that.
We're not doing a D&D or a World of Warcraft raid. Basically, what we're doing is the community that we have in on Twitch, which right now is a whole 2 people, so it's probably me and
so if we can get more
mom,
in.
But the monetization part is not what we're looking at, but it helps. That's why Lynn's been doing her streams doing the
Merchandise.
merch and stuff like that. It's trying to help us fund being able to go on paranormal investigations, adventures, whatever you want to call it.
Eventually.
I mean, it funded us to go to a little bit to go
to Ocean
City. So
yeah.
And then I brought stuff back for you guys, so it does benefit in both ways. So our central goal by the time this one retires is hopefully. You got a while to go there, sir. Don't do that.
I'll be eating
mush.
My
I'll have to get you a mobile chair. You can trot behind.
Well,
but let me go back up here a minute.
What?
Thinking said we stacked our weapons in our urine to infect an open wound. So whenever we shot a bullet, laced with pee, it hits and it'll start infecting the body. And the next one, he said that they played loud music for the dead.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they played the Grateful Dead.
Well,
and then a note: our enemy did not want to die by a female; their soul would not go back home.
Hey, Maggie.
Well, like I said, whenever it comes to a hunter that's a specialist or an assassin, whatever you want to call them, they normally, whenever they start on a hunt, they're trained to infect themselves with a certain substance. Like I said, the reason they do that is if you ever see a zombie movie or a zombie show, or you even see something on vampires or lichens, a bunch of them can swarm in on a target or the person trying to kill them, and they swarm in on him and they start eating him alive. Now, keep in mind, with that substance that's in the body system that it's already been, he's going to say, you've got 5 vampires that are eating him or drinking his blood. They're all going to die. So basically, 1 for 5. And 1 for 5. So it's just that way. And so that's what happens. They will do that depending on the training. Sometimes there are hunters that are natural hunters, over the top natural, and they know their stuff inside and out. They can do that. And I also wanted to I forgot to mention this. I didn't go too deep into it. There's a group of supernatural beings called Fae. The only 2 I really know about, one is the obvious. One is called a pixie. Most people say fairies, they think of that. But that's really a pixie where it's all beautiful and this and that, beautiful wings. But whenever it comes to pixies, whatever you want to sit there and say, yes, they are beautiful, but they can be vicious if you do some kind of wrong. If you do, or even you make a mistake, even if you make a critical mistake or by accident, they can destroy your world and your family's world. Then you got the Dullahan. That I know that at least in theory, I can't remember exactly. Those are types of Fae that are their head is not attached to their body, but they do carry their head with them. Now, the reason why they do this in the way of warriorship and all that other stuff, and also if someone's coming at you and it doesn't have a head, I think that's called intimidation. What are you going to do to him? If they try and kill you without their head, you're going to be intimidated very quickly. And that's the main two. And there's many others. I just can't think of anything else. But the Dullahan are the classic warriors of classic warriors.
Yes,
Very
remember,
nice.
sorry doesn't cut it.
Yeah,
Tomorrow's
and
Friday, and I'm getting excited about the jewelry set you're sweet enough to hold for me.
Yes, I still have it. I do.
Well,
I'm so excited.
like I
And
said,
then I have Cindy's too.
Yeah, so if anybody's watching us right now on YouTube that has Twitch,
Or needs a couple minutes to
or
get
needs
it.
a couple minutes to get it, we want to go over to, we're going to go raid Paranormal Funhouse's show. They're doing a podcast right now. And then right after that, continue watching it, because right after that, they're going to raid Elizabeth's Twitch account, and she's doing free readings, and
I'm definitely going to be there for that.
What else? Hold on, let me read exactly what it said. She's going to give out free readings and mediumship to anyone who feel free to come by. So, like I said, there we go.
Found it.
Hop on our Twitch stream right now. Are we going to go through haunted buildings and stuff eventually?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there is one other thing I will say this much on the issue of equipment. My friend, my neighbor, and like I said, some of you know him from cast and everything. He's the one who puts in a special sort of thing called a bug out bag. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, like I said, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, if you're doing an investigation, say like you're out in the middle of nowhere, and you have supplies with you, you have an advantage. So like hunters, they will carry those almost everywhere they go whenever it comes to a hunt. And the reason why is because you have more of a chance of survival than anything else, because yes, you're going to need weapons to survive, but you need to keep up your strength, which means food. You need water, you need this, you need that. And so that's how it happens. Like I said, if you guys are interested, just let me know.
But I was gonna quickly type in your buddy's information. That way,
that'd be great.
Well, we can't find the card.
I started cleaning and I moved it with all the other cards, and I can't even find our own cards.
I've got it right here. I can type this in.
All right, type it in, and then
yes, sir.
Sam.
Yes.
You probably don't have it.
He doesn't have any access over there.
No, go ahead and just start typing. I was gonna.
Go ahead.
And then I'll just copy paste and then put it in a banner. That way, next time we're on.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Filerman, we will be eventually going through some very interesting haunted places.
We have tons of videos to go through from stuff that we've already done. That is just part of it.
I mean, we got this one here. We've got.
Oh, careful.
This one's empty, but each one of these carries 12 discs. So most of them probably came out of that one. We got 3 of these.
There you go. So I'm working my butt off. That's why we try to do Tuesdays exclusive for a lot of the interesting haunts that you guys have already seen. Yeah, there we go.
So,
yeah.
If you want, pause it, take a picture of it, screenshot it. When it'll be on the replay.
Everywhere. Thank you.
Well, one of the things I will say is that
I'm trying to get
Sam took inspiration from Derek and made my bug out bag, which is somewhere around here.
It's upstairs.
Upstairs.
That's where he took it. I'm trying to write it
it's
down.
the best place to keep it. That way, if I have to run and grab something, it's one of the first things to grab. So.
We actually took it on our hike this past weekend, and we used air.
Water bottle.
I loved it.
What, the live straw?
Yeah.
No, not the life straw.
No.
I haven't used the life straw yet, which is essentially a water filtration straw. If somebody wants to know what that is, I can basically go and get a cup of slimy, nasty swamp water, and it'll filter it out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to get the slimy swamp water.
It's not gonna filter everything, but it will make it safer to drink. As a guarantee, no, but you have a fighting chance than being dehydrated. And
less dehydrated.
Yeah, true.
I got it.
All right. Now she has it. So next time.
I swear to you, I have it here. If you look, this room is tore apart. My father's coming in, so I'm reorganizing and purging. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Sorry, Dad, if you're watching this eventually, because we know you've been watching.
Yay. I know. My father's been checking us out. He already asked if we do wind chimes and, all different types of merch. He's super excited.
Well, I've got some people that are watching often. A great landlord who is planning on watching this tonight. She saw some of the other broadcasts and everything. She told me to tell you too. She highly respects the two of you.
Thank you. Yay!
But I gotta keep her name secret. But like I said, she highly respects the two of you completely. But you have to remember something about those supplies with hunters.
Maggie.
With hunters.
I'm sorry. It's just what she wrote. I love her.
She cracks me up. But you have to remember something with hunters will carry supplies like that. And yes, they'll have their weapons. And there's more than one kind of weapon out there than a blade or a gun. There's also alchemy supplies. There's also a rock, a bow, things like that. With me, I make potions. And potions, I can only, it's part of me, I can only make offense and I can only make defense. Other than that, I can't make anything else. I've tried and I've always failed. But in regards to, like I said, in regards to hunters or breakers, hunters and breakers, they're the same group, will carry supplies and everything. Linda and Chad do that all the time. They do it all the time and everything like that. With the bug out bag that I gave them, which I love doing for you. Next time, well, there's plenty of light sticks and everything, and I just got to remember. Yeah. Well, but
what I'll probably do is I'll take what you have in my bag and make her own bag. Kind of carry on. You gave it to me. I'll give it. That way. Yeah. When we do go out. She's not sucking all my no sexual thing going there, but she's not sucking all my water and draining me out of my water. She can have her own.
Especially when we take the kids, it'll definitely be nice to have double the bag.
Yeah, and I will say that much. I mean, the thing was, whenever we were out,
you said you made it for as if it was for two people in that bag. So I'll make hers essentially for two people, because normally when we go out anyway, it's not just me and Linda. It's usually me, Linda, and one of the kids, or two of the kids, or five of the kids.
It just depends on how that day goes. If we're doing it during the day, then and it's safe enough, we'll bring Rosie with us.
But like I said, in those woods that we got lost out in and everything like that, you guys had supplies. You guys were able to stay hydrated. We were all a bit grumpy. Here and there, but we stuck to what we said we were going to do. And and you two have both of you have extremely open minds, really open-minded. And one of the things was I didn't mean to come across, if I came across as a jerk the day that I came over there and I gave you your bag, the one thing was I wanted you to go over it yourselves individually.
We definitely understood that.
Because I want you to know what you're working with. I wanted you to know what you're working with and what you had access to. Because if you didn't, you're just going through supplies, you could drop things out in the middle of nowhere and this and that. Mm-hmm. Now, Chad is brilliant, in my opinion, when it comes to electronics. And if we didn't have that GPS, it would have been much worse. But the thing is, if anybody else is listening, if you do purchase a bug out bag from my friend or this or that, always have a compass. Literally, do not go anywhere without a compass.
That. Look what I found. Cleaning.
That's it. Nice. You found it.
I don't know where I found it, but I found it.
Yeah, because I left it in your bag. I left it in your bag. But you have to know. Well, you have to remember the reason why you carry a compass is in case you get lost out there and you don't have a signal. You have more of a chance of finding your way back in case electricity goes out. And Shad knows how to use one very effectively. Linda knows how to. But if you do,
obviously not when I'm asking what that was.
It's a viewfinder.
Oh.
You put it up and you figure, and then you can sit there and you look down on your compass and go, all right, we're right now, that direction is about 200, because there's the 360 degrees. It's 200 degrees south.
Yeah. And so you have, but you have to remember, that's what hunting.
Sorry, I had Marine Corps land navigation.
Well, you have to remember something with hunters and breakers and various other types of people, that they carry supplies almost everywhere they go. I do the same thing, but I don't consider myself a hunter by any means. Mm-hmm. But I do carry supplies. Hell, Chad and Linda are like, why does he carry? Oh, that's a good idea. That's why he carries it. Okay. I've had a lot of people criticize me for that. And then whenever they need help, okay, I'm not saying a word now. So, but that's how it goes.
So do you, Sam, and so does thinking of others, brilliant minds work their butts off to the point of needing fanny packs.
Well, I will not be, unless I'm dead, I am not being caught with a fanny pack. I want a lot more than just that.
So Byler Man off of Twitch, why is it supernatural stuff happens in older structures?
The accumulation of energy that can happen, number one. And number two, that structure, whether it's a shed to a big old building, it collects energy over a certain amount of time. Say like if if you are in there and it's an insane asylum, and back in those days it was practically torture what they would do to people in a mental asylum, that energy collects. It collects dramatically. And then if you let it, and then if it falls if it falls into disrepair and the nature and nothing's ever happened and it's just left alone, that structure will attract not just negative energy, but chaos, evil, disorder, all kinds of things. And you have to remember, and like I said, you have to remember that there are sometimes it's genius to go in, but you have to expect the unexpected in those places. And you have to be on guard, you have to be ready to survive in that sort of way. And so that's a very good question, Byler Man.
So she's trying to share it out to get some more people on Twitch, so we're not just raiding with 3 people. It's nice when especially if it gets bigger.
Yeah.
And when it gets bigger,
it will.
And we have more than 3 people. It's nice when you're able to sit there and bring over like 10, 15 people over to
Yeah.
somebody and sit there and they'll be like, what? Or,
But
I've watched Twitch guys that are on there that have like 1,000 people watching. Next thing you know, they're raiding somebody, and all of a sudden it's like.
I know earlier the 30 whoever was had 200. Ooh. So we're trying.
what? Sam, you must
like more glued to the Maximus of ginormous proportions, so you don't have to bring up the rear.
I don't get
he
it.
always has some. If you don't get it, Sam, never mind.
I can tell Cindy's not in here.
Cindy's in here.
Sam,
Where?
Thea was in here, I think.
I didn't see her.
I don't get it, Maggie Joe. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I really don't.
It's okay.
Okay, she's using a play on words. Okay, glued to the Maximus, gluteus maximus.
To the buttocks.
You must hide there. A soldier can kill a soldier, but a soldier cannot kill a spirit.
The thing is on that thinking, it depends on who you're talking to. And hunters, remember, there are the specialists out there and everything, and you have to remember that. Some entities maybe can kill it, maybe you can't, but you can banish it, which is kind of, or send it to the light. Like, if anybody knows about some of the potions I do and everything, I've been known to banish those things out of things. There is a young lady that smelled one of my potions. She's strong, but she smelled it and she was repulsed and had to get out of the house entirely. And it was nauseating her. Now, imagine with an entity, if that was thrown at them in that sort of way, it's going to banish them out of that residence and may even banish them to the point they have to move on. Is it guaranteed? No, but you have more of a chance of taking it on. Then you also have like shamans. Shamans can do certain things. They work with magic and magic of nature and also quite a few other things. And they are quite a few other things. Saying a prayer, not necessarily a prayer, but an incantation, an incantation or this or that, or even making a spiritual sort of symbol on the ground. And using, with all that, it could protect you in that sort of way to where the entity cannot get past it. Now, this I do get to the point on, a potion can mess anything up, no matter what it is. Say, like if people know about black salt and what it does to certain entities, that's a nasty combination for the spirit. Will it kill it? It will get rid of them. Now, here's the other thing. There are more than just human spirits. There are animal spirits. There are animal spirits. And if you use a potion on an animal type spirit, depending on the type of spirit, it could be a good or a bad thing. And you don't want to take that on unless it's absolutely necessary. And a while back, I gave Chad and Linda a potion of peace, which was very strong. Now, whenever I was there, I gave them 3 potions. And those have 5 shots in them apiece, and I gave them 3. Now, Chad and Linda can feel energy, and Sherry can feel energy too. Now, keep in mind that does help against entities. And they're vicious, and if they're vicious and they're nasty, guess what? You have more of a chance of surviving than most other people.
Well, thank you, Sam, for that report.
Of course.
It was awesome.
Thank you. Well,
you are getting a lot better at.
Thank you. I got to definitely work at it, but you guys are giving me that opportunity and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Next time you want to do a report, just let us know and we got you back on it.
Well, I very appreciate it. Well, and all of you, if you can continue watching the Smith family, they are great. They're beyond great. They're open minded. They work with people, and also they can give people chances in most ways that most people can't in so many ways. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day,
Wow.
if you work with them, they will bust their butt to work with you. And also they got incredible merchandise. And they've got incredible merchandise, and check it out. Well, I will depart from all this, and and I appreciate you two having me on.
Go to Twitch.
Yeah, and you can go over to Twitch, Sam, so you can watch.
Okay. All right. I'll see you guys later in a bit. Bye-bye.
All right.
All right. So thank you all for joining in. Like I said, we're gonna go rate Paranormal in the Funhouse over on Twitch.
I am sharing out like crazy, so I'm sorry if I re-spam you. Woo!
So
that was not.
And
Stink bugs coming from.
Sherry, I hope you're able to see this.
Yeah.
We know you got some things coming up in the next couple of days. Keep us
posted,
updated. I know it's going to take a bit because you don't have your phone, but at least
something.
At least let us know something. All right. So
we love you.
We love you guys.
Wait a
we'll
minute.
talk to you in a little bit.